Sejuani, there's the Sedge ban finally.
Yeah, they're not 100% sure where this Poppy is going to go, and you want to deny the Sejuani Jax. Insanely strong. 2v2 towards the top side of the map. Yeah, Jhin, I can't believe we haven't talked about it yet, but both Jhin or Ziggs would make sense. I like the Jhin more when you already have the Azir. Looks like that is going to be the lock-in here. It's a T1 classic. We've seen them pull this out many a time. We'll see if it's going to work out here as well.
Yeah, I think it offers you a little bit more flexibility as well because you can pair a decent amount of stuff with the Jhin. And you can see exactly what this bottom lane is going to look like for DK. As Sion, the choice for Siwu, and it's Braum for Baron.
I like Braum. I don't like this team comp though. I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean,
because you have part dive, part peel back. As Sion provides a little bit of space, as Bard makes a ton of sense. I feel Bard's really good into the Jinx specifically because she doesn't have an easy way to get out of the ultimate. Outside of the flash, I think T1's going to be feeling amazing. Like, these are basically full comfort across the board for the composition.
Combo dish, I think. So, very curious to see how it's going to go. I think the Poppy as well going to get huge value.
If Poppy into Ahri and Vi,
yeah,
that's the dream scenario, Veldes.
Well, we'll see if it plays out after this draft as we hop into the Rift for game number 3. All right, off we go. And, well, one thing you've got this Braum, and he's very good at level 1. So they're just going to run into the enemy jungle. And this time, probably not going to get first blooded, like we saw in game 1.
Lane swap to come through does make sense. Jhin and Bard able to apply a ton of pressure in the 2v2. And Jinx just wants to get to, at the very least, an item if you really do anything. Obviously, you'd also much rather be a Sion. And here you see as well, both top laners are also aware that this is the standard ward placement. Because if Siwu gets Dove, which again, a lot harder than it used to be, he's Sion. He's going to be able to get the wave. We've seen actually T1 CL, and I think it was Humble Life as well, pulling out a lot of Sion lane swap strats where you use the Sion and just eventually send him to a certain depth just that you can maximize the amount of farm. Now, T1, the one thing I do think they have to be careful about, which they do have a tendency to do sometimes, is not to over-index too much on early plays. Because that's exactly what DK is going to be looking for, as it looks like we will just have some vertical jungling going on, which I would argue benefits DK again, just because of how hard it is to reliably shut down a Sion. Let's see, Owner still going to try, but again, these Noxian turrets hit a little bit different than they used to. There's going to be a huge stacked wave about to come up. Actually, she also went for shield level 1, so not going for the Q, just trying to get as much experience as possible.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting a lot of experience. He's gonna hit level 2, and let's see if they've got it. Can Poppy do it in 2025? That was a nice stun to stop the Q on the wave. A bit of damage comes in. Owner, though, not quite able to tank it up, but there it is, the flash, and the 4th shot from Guba will get the kill on the Siwu, who, as you mentioned before, just gonna farm up the wave. Meanwhile, Doran just getting zoned out of his wave, not going to be taken down, but T1 do get first blood and that first feat of strength.
Jhin killing a tank. I never thought I'd see the day, Veldes, but does happen. Siwu ends up going down. Doran is going to make it back to the wave.
Yeah.
Gotta be feeling really good about that one because there isn't really a dive opportunity here.
Dive number 2.
Good look for another one.
And, I mean, he doesn't have flash this time, right? But bit of damage comes in. They're not 100% committing just yet, but the Q's gonna hit 2. But now that's the
Level
Q
up.
down. Owner gonna eat a turret shot, and Cyan doesn't really have a lot of damage to trade back. They're just kind of playing with the Scion underneath this turret. The Q is pretty good, but it's not good enough. And Guma picks up a second kill.
2 kills there for the Jhin. We saw Showmaker, an attempted roam, but it's not going to lead to anything. And even more, they rotated over the bot lane, meaning that this entire wave in top is going to be lost as well. And DK, everything looking a bit disastrous early on T1. You need to be a lot more careful, as we can see with the setup here, to ensure that you actually take him down. Starts off with the Bard stun, which sets up for Owner. No opportunity for Shiu, and then that final auto, the Jhin crit, comes through, and then I think here Shiu is trying to position in a way to both dodge the damage from the Q on the ground, but also not getting stunned by Bard. But unfortunately, that Q usage there, it's kind of tough. The problem is you can't really go for a full charge Q until they have aggro, because the Poppy can cancel it so easily. But you want to try and get it done anyway. Nice flash there from Owner. Guma just takes the one shot, not going to be at risk. Now, early game looking really good here for T1, although thanks to that rotation, it looks like it took Doran a while to actually arrive, and he is basically even in experience, but the plates are in favor of DK, which is why the gold still looks relatively even, to the feed going to T1. Still going to be feeling good about that one.
Yeah, I mean, they get that first one, the first blood, and we'll see if DK maybe can, with some of this chip damage on the turrets, find a way to pick up a first turret feat, or if it's just going to be that extra gold on Guma that gets the difference for T1 in some of those early team fights we might see around the grubs and so forth. As now we've got top laners fighting against each other. And Shiu, I hope he's not feeling too bad about getting bullied under the turret. The new guy, you know.
He must have known what would have happened as long as he locked in Cyan. That is kind of resigning to the fate.
Yeah. Imagine this was 2024 and he was playing against Peanut. Peanut would be there again.
I think he would have already been there like 4 times. Yeah.
Like, Peanut always does that to the rookies. He's like, yeah, gotta show them the way it goes here in the LCK.
The other cost of this is that Owner is severely under-leveled. He's about half a level down on Lucid. So there could be an opportunity to make a play here for DK. Don't know about Lucid just yet, but yeah, I think they should just dip. Just deny the initial grub, make sure that they don't get free, so they don't get the feat. I'm just going to leave it at that, which I think is definitely the right call. Even with Faker Soul being available there, trying to play into an Ahri at level 6, it's not really a risk that you have to take.
Yeah. So T1, they get that, they get away. Doran seems to be doing quite well in this lane. He's been able to trade down Shiu a good amount. He's got Demolish, and he's going to elect not to use it. Maybe just worried about the wave being cleared very fast and didn't want to overstay his welcome against the Scion. Was about to hit level 6. You never know what that guy can do. Speaking of which, Lucid up on the top side of the map here.
Oh, found his way in.
Yeah.
But the problem is the wave is pushing into. Yeah, I think the back air is a good call. Wave's pushing into Guma and Keria. Guma still has his sums as well. If he doesn't have sums, you can maybe go for like a flash Q into ult, but not going to be the case here. Not really a window. Guma now sitting on a very early bounty. Could not be further apart from how his game number 1 started.
Yeah, it's a very different feel. But it is Guma on Jhin. You know, I mentioned kind of Faker and Keria as the guys with the deep champion pools, especially because these are just best of 3s now. You know, we don't have to dig too deep. We don't have to go too crazy, but certainly this is something that Guma has played many a time and is very comfortable on. As we do have the root here onto Beryl. He is totally caught. It might be a third for Guma. Instead, they'll just give that one to Faker. You know, Guma missed the 3rd shot, so Faker's like, yeah, now I deserve it. I'll take it down. But more importantly than the pick on a Beryl, it just means a free dragon here for T1. And they're really stacking up some of these early wins for their team right now.
Also takes... Oh, that's good actually. Owner doesn't have smite, so if that splash damage could have actually realistically taken it, not going to be the case. This also means that, again, an opportunity to fight is being denied here for DK. I think DK wants to try and skirmish around the particularly Braum, Ahri, and Vi. And they're not really going to get an opportunity to... Kashiu, realistically, in a mid to late game scenario, is also just going to get beat up by either of the side lanes that he's playing into. I really wonder, I think the problem with the Ornn is that you feel a lot more susceptible to those dives, but the dive works out anyway, and I think Ornn does provide a lot more reliable values. Who's looking for a steal, but just going to get spotted here, and will have to give up. Faker has flash available, and Lucid decides the better of it. And I think you can see the difference between how T1 was playing in game number 1 and game number 2 and 3. It's so much more restrained. Really doesn't feel like it's the same team playing.
Yeah, I mean, it can happen, you know, first game of the season can kind of just go awry. As Kiya down there at the bottom of the level XP. Not sure exactly why we're highlighting that, but he does have his ult available, so there is that. Barrel just slightly ahead of him in terms of XP.
So setting up really good vision coverage here with that invade. Now they have Lucid's full topside warded, not allowing him. As we go back, take another look here. So Barrel's trying to set up for a play towards this dragon, but severely underestimates how many members of T1 are ready, and particularly these type of really aggressive plays around objectives with the Jhin ultimate. We've seen T1 do a million times. Something that is basically their bread and butter. As a result, going to be both that first blood and the first objective. First blood, of course, secured a lot earlier, but the first dragon also going their way, and also denying it to DK. And DK, they still have the Jinx, which is basically an insurance policy, but it does feel like if mid-jungle don't get rolling, all your eggs are in the Jinx basket, and there's a lot of ways for T1 to shut that down. Between the Bard ult, between Faker going for a big swoop, the Owner getting on the back line, Doran flanks on the Jax, so this skirmish is going to be a big one for DK, and I think T1 might also opt to just let it go.
I mean, Faker's still in top lane. He could TP if they really wanted to take it like immediately, but it does look like they're just going to give this one away. DK will pick up 5 grubs. So at least they've got that, but they're not the team that has a Jax in a side lane. You know, they're not the team that has a very powerful side laning champ. You know, Ahri's more of like a combo duo with the Vi. So you got all these grubs, but
hey,
they're not
despite the 2 kills, aiming's still up in gold. Just ticked over, Valdez.
It's the Gold King.
Yeah.
It was crowned last year.
I don't know if it's enough, but it's something. Faker and Guma both in an incredible spot. Imagine Guma should be getting his collector pretty soon. Shiwu, meanwhile, has obviously fallen behind due to the early game shenanigans that T1 was able to pull off. Malignant's now done for Showmaker as well. And we saw even there in the previous play when they were contesting for the grubs, Shiwu actually walked towards basically the entrance of the Dragon Pit and was just like standing there as like, I need to ult. Wasn't a contest, so no need for him to rotate over.
Yeah.
And the vision being secured, Kiya with the deep ward. And let me tell you, that extra health, it's annoying. Actually, much more than you would initially think.
Yeah, but he missed the brush.
Well, yeah, I mean, that ward doesn't do a lot. I would just take it as an opportunity to... Uh-oh.
Okay, well, we're going extremely deep for this one. It still works, though. It's still Ahri Vi. The question is, can they trade back on this? Is the flash ult from Owner? It's not going to do a whole lot, but keeping Lucid around. Barrel in a rough spot, but he's Braum, and now Kiya is going to go down. And all of a sudden, DK begin to win this fight. Doran gets ulted by Shiwu, who comes out of left field, essentially. And now they're going to get the first turret.
How the hell did that work? They went to Narnia and back, and this play still worked out.
Just kill Faker, and force T1 to overfight, I guess. I gotta see this replay because Owner like flashed the wall. He really wanted to keep them around. He flashed the wall, he ulted them to try to keep them in place, but already Lucid had flashed away and it was only Braum. And they're like, we don't want to kill Braum. And then they just expend everything to go way too deep, and DK immediately take advantage of it.
Okay, so let's take another look here. So it's a full shuffle and then also flash. And yes, they kill Faker. The flash is big because it means Lucid doesn't get slammed into the turret. Then he also is able to get away. But then I want you to pay attention to this. Lucid doesn't actually get threatened by the barrel, and then Beryl gets the cancel on the Jhin ult. So Jhin is out of the fight. Carrier's way too deep. Owner wasn't able to join. Your biggest other damage source, which is Faker, died at the beginning of the play. And all of a sudden, DK pulling around.
They really do. Beryl is ecstatic after that one. It could not have gone better. Oh, I guess you could have aced them. But yeah, it was essentially just T1, they do this thing where it's like, okay, well, you know, we're going to trade in some way. We really need to trade this one back. Speaking of trading, that's going to be a steal, so not a great trade for Owner, as he will lose his red buff. Lucid, yeah, he got away from that Poppy ult, and then Curry used his ult on him and then went over the wall and just died. So
yeah.
The Bard just had zero impact. It's like, well, that's not what we wanted to use the Bard for. Not to try to punish the Vi that went a bit too deep. It's to try to kill the Jinx, most likely, and to provide a good lane with the Jhin. So a very kind of all over the place team fight for T1, and DK were immediately there to pick up the scraps. So now this game has gotten a lot more interesting because, you know, it kind of felt like T1, they were slowly but surely winning the early game. It looked a little bit like game 2, you know, they're getting all the objectives. Nice timing there, actually.
What?
But Xiu flashed in the wall. This guy is insane. And, you know, with Showmaker coming up, nice charm. Bit of damage in, the Malignus ticking, but okay. Engage Braum. Beryl getting in. The rest of the team joining in. DK going crazy. What are they doing? I don't know.
Not a lot.
Giving a free turret to Doran? Question mark?
Yeah, Shiwa is indeed kind of crazy. That was a sequence of plays, but it was all for the greater good. If they get a kill there as well, plus the turret, I think they're going to be feeling a lot better because now they did invest a good amount. Showmaker's TP as well as Shiwa's flash. But you get the 1-for-1 trade, so still not the end of the world, and that could have gone a lot better than, again, I kind of saw at the beginning of that play, and it really does feel like DK, at worst, at least are aligned that going extremely ham is the plan. And when you think about it, we talked about this Jinx in the classic front-to-back composition. You can also look at it as a reset comp, right? Where as soon as aiming gets an assist, the duo of Lucid and Showmaker and Shushu creates so much space that as long as he gets anything going with the movement speed, maybe he can be a bigger impact in fights than we initially thought, because T1 is just going to be the one playing on the back foot. And in these few fights, that has been the case. Now, feats are dead even. We are one objective away for either team. It's going to be the Dragon in about a minute, and I think that might be where the game ends up. Not necessarily decided with how it's been going thus far, but
Stepped on the chompers. There's the charm. Lucid just totally wide on that one, and he might get punished for it. Everybody's flashing away now. Aiming, nearly getting sniped there with third bullet, but he will just barely get away. So now he doesn't have cleanse or flash against Bard, Azir, and all the threats on the side of T1.
That might up ending deciding the game, because it looks like they were trying to get the force of at least the sums out of Guma, and instead, aiming now doesn't have sums for the upcoming fight. Again, the game, in about a minute, either team is going to get feats. It's not really about the feats, but either DK starts stacking dragons or T1 gets soul point this early on in the game. And aiming not having his sums available, especially because it looks like he's most likely going to hit his 2-item power spike, is a really big deal. And Guma didn't have to expand anything, right? The only thing T1 used there was ult cooldowns, which they will all have available back when the fight starts.
That's a charm, that's a Riptail, and yeah, Owner's right there to try to punish it. Beryl in a bit of trouble, but he is Braum. And now Lucid, ooh, If the Q hits, I mean, you got rockets flying, you press an R button, but Guma still has
That's 2 ult.
his flash.
Yeah, that's both Gaming's and Showmaker's ult now used. Oh, good charm, but yeah, T1 is taking control of this pit. And this does feel like DK, they can choose not to fight here. It's not soul, it's just soul point. But you're still going to be feeling horrible about it. Look at the vision that's being set up here by T1. I feel like you can just never approach her if you're DK. Entire jungle is lit up. Still might be able to gain entrance through the river, but they're going to have to get a crazy catch to make this work. The zoom in there on both the Zap and the Charm, not going to connect. What about Lucid? That's a Poppy.
If you pick the right target, maybe? Yeah, and you gotta hope that owner's not ready.
Are we just going to have Shield run in? Is that what this is going to devolve into? I could see it.
Go engage you.
Stuns are available. Owner doesn't have his ultimate crucially, so keeping Lucid out of the pit might be hard. Doran on the flank does get spotted.
All right, let's see how it goes. Lucid looking for the flash. Can he get it? Yes, he will! Lucid picks it up, denies the dragon. Now they're turning on a Doran, and the counter-strike can only do so much. He gets extremely low, and the rocket gets the reset. In goes aiming. He is chasing them down. He's got a frontline. Very nice ult here from Faker, but it's not enough. It will just block the door, but Keria is not long for the world either. It is a massacre. T1 are just running away. They lose the dragon, they lose the feats of strength, and DK, they find all the angles.
Everything goes wrong there, Valdez. If you get the dragon, you give up the kills. I think you say worth getting soul point, mountain. That's going to feel amazing against the upfront burst of this comp. Are they going to get Otacon as well? Oh my. They have 2 TPs. Faker's up in 5, but I don't think he's going to be in time. They're going to get that as well.
Yeah. And just like that, you were talking about the dragon being the game decider.
It kind of is.
It kind of is.
Oh, wanna look at this. So it's the burst, Lucid gets it, and then here an initial re-engage with the Bartle, but that's Braum and Sion. No one can join. And then Lucid turns onto Doran, and as soon as Aiming gets that ult, the splash damage, he gets excited. There's no way that the fight is winnable. Even with Faker, nice attempt there on the shuffle. But Guma's, unfortunately, this isn't level 2, so he can't kill the Sion, so he's just standing there sadly.
Atachan, let's go.
Keep going.
Atachan, let's go. Atachan, let's go. Atachan, let's go. Atachan, let's go.
Atachan, let's go is the message. He said that like 5 times. And now they've got the buff. It's got to be a quick turnaround here. With the buff, you're going to be looking to dive. And, you know, as you framed it before, ooh, that's a denial on the back of Owner. I think he was aiming for Faker. But
Minute and a half. Buff.
Said before, you know, just get some resets, get a dive going. There's really not much that T1 can do to stop this. Maybe use the Bartle to buy some time. I'm not sure, because DK are just begging T1 to step up to give any angle at all. And Barrel's just going to hold up the door. Lucid will get away and not expend his Otacon buff.
Ideally, you just want to get an R off, and then if you die, it's, you know, who cares? Might go for it here.
I don't know if he gets his R off, though, as, yeah, he's rooted and well, yeah, okay. There's the revive. In goes you. Very nice engage, actually, but the follow-up is non-existent. Bit of damage on a Guma, though. They got Guma, and that is the most important part, as everybody else just gonna maybe go down. Owner nearly burning. Not gonna happen, so they got Guma. Now, the issue with this is, you know, it was good, but there's no objective, really, after getting Guma, so...
Yeah, they don't really get anything out of it, but there wasn't going to be an objective within the timer, so...
Yeah.
Let's try and get some value. Definitely not the best look. I feel like teams right now are really going mega ham, and you want to trade like at least 2 kills, ideally, to really feel like this is worth it, because the sums were already down. You're not getting a turret, you're not getting any other objective, but then again, you're going to lose the buff anyway. But I'd argue there are scenarios where it might be better to lose the buff, because you're still giving over gold. Like, I know it's not nearly as much, but
in this case, because you got the Guma, I'm pretty sure was sitting on a shutdown as well. In this case, it's definitely still a worthwhile trade as, yeah, Showmaker has been having a series, Valdez.
Potential player of the match angle if DK eventually win the spawn.
Yeah, it's not over until the Nexus falls. T1 haven't lost an inhib yet. They are still sitting at 2 dragons, so they're gonna have a lot of time. I think Guma needs to get to a 3rd item though. Faker is sitting at a really strong 1-2, but I don't know if that alone is gonna be enough to hold off on the siege here. If DK do actually start stacking these mountains, things can get kind of ugly though. I think she was gonna be a problem. He already has 4k health, Valdez.
Yeah.
He has 1 item.
Yeah.
What? And they have a Jhin.
They have a Jhin, they do.
I know that there's also a Azir, there's also Jax, but if Azir and Jax are hitting Sion, I don't think that's where you want to be in life.
Yeah. At least it does feel like Faker's builds will do damage.
Oh, he's going Void as well, it looks like next. So.
Leandre's Void should be... He's going to be the guy that's chewing through it. Looking for Guma here. He is going to be caught for now. Flashes the Poppy ult, just gets away from it entirely. Lucid, you can always rely on this guy. And down will go the T180 carry. Lucid, I just said we can rely on you. Please don't just immediately die. Okay, he's just dead. And Showmaker probably dead as well. There you go, T1, a couple of big picks. And Baron is about to spawn. And so is that Mountain Drake up and available.
Yeah, that's soul point at T1.
Remember how I said he was reliable?
Oh, DK, never change. T1, smell a moment of weakness and go in just to pick on Guma was great. But DK can't help but overchase. In this case, Lucid going way too ham, and this initial play is so nicely done, right? Get the ult, take down Guma, flash away, Showmaker's at the ready, and this gets you a 2nd Drake at the nice soul point, and you don't need to do more. You don't need to go for owner, but then Lucid just queues into the waiting arms of Doran. Really nicely done there as well, by the way, from Feria to ensure that Barrel and Showmaker can't provide any assistance. And that is now Mountain Soul Point, meaning that this game that we thought was now finally really swinging between the Dragon and then the Otacon as well. Pendulum's still going, Valdez.
I mean, it's really anybody's game from here. I do think that the Baron is going to be an interesting point of contention. You know, how strong can Doran get as well to really force his way in those side lanes? Like, I'm not sure he can do much against the Sion. He's never really going to get a kill, and Chu's never going to attack him. When it comes to hyper carries, aiming's doing actually pretty well. I don't think that T1 have done a great job of locking down aiming. There was one Bartle that hit him. And now Guma, he's got to deal with a very fed Sion. And he's going to have to flash from... Yeah, flash and cleanse from the Sion. He like just... How did... He wasn't even in bot lane. He was running through the T1 jungle looking for the flank. The entire that's the only reason
drifting.
That's the only reason he was in that position at all. That's just
who does that?
This guy is a madman.
Okay, TP is forced. This is the moment. T1 looking for a collapse.
Oh, Bardoll gonna miss. And I think for DK, all you gotta do is find Guma. The issue though is if you get Guma, like, yeah, you got a sums and everything, but as you mentioned before, it's really Faker and Doran who are kind of the hyper carries in this comp. So you can't expend everything to get Guma.
We see as well the poke actually being pretty meaningful as that Lucid is going in. I don't know what she was bringing out in this map, but I have not seen this Lucid since spring, Valdez.
Lucid was talking to Diablo before this game. He's like, how do I do what you did? How can I be that aggressive?
With the sums still going to be down, or the sums are still going to be down, but T1 have bought themselves so much time by picking up that Dragon. Again, the big mistake from Lucid, meaning that there is not going to be an opportunity for DK to set up themselves for Soul Point. This game might go the distance. Baron is still up, and I gotta be careful saying that because I've said that before, and then there's like a 5-0 and the game is over. But the game is gonna stand with for T1, it's very straightforward. We're getting to the point in the game where the damage from Lucid and Showmaker shouldn't be enough unless someone is really out of position, so it's gonna come down to can we kill aiming. That man is about to hit his IE, about to hit 4 items, has been unchecked this entire game, and I think the issue is, as you're saying, I'm sure T1 are aware of it, but like, they are not getting any space to get on aiming because Lucid and Showmaker and even the Scion are diving so deep onto the enemy backline.
Yeah.
And if you trade and aiming as a sums and your carry ends up going down, I don't know if that fight is gonna end up going the way that you want it to. What a game, Veldes. What a series.
Yeah, I'm just really glad that we're getting some very high-level action here in Game 3, at least, between two very strong teams. I was a little bit worried after Game 1, to be honest. That was that was weird. T1 lost very unceremoniously. DK have been challenged, though, since then, and we weren't too satisfied with their draft either. We began to see some angles of how they were able to make it work. You know, I was saying before that Guma doesn't matter too much, but if aiming's there and he gets a reset on Guma at least, then maybe he can duel with Faker. They're just going to go for their own T1 Baron. This is a DK Baron, but now there is vision.
No flank this time. You imagine that DK is going to be looking for the turn.
We'll see how it goes. Doran going very far forward into the Braum. As they get the lockdown there on Adoran, and that frontline owners just burst 100-0. As Guma's doing some nice work, but there is the ult from Faker, gets it, but look at aiming. He's totally untouched the entire time. Aiming gets the reset. Guma is alone, and he is dead. And there you go, DK take a huge fight.
They might look for the ends. It's only Doran alive. There is a wave. I don't think that they can, but we'll see. Yeah, it looks like they are still contemplating as well. Shio ended up going down in that extended fight as well. They, at the very least, will be able to get the inhib. We'll see if they're actually choosing to push on. Can also, and I think should back off, get that dragon. Looks like that's going to be the case here instead. Get the inhib, but what a fight win there from DK. As we take a look at this one, Shio able to dodge away, the Bardold again not really hitting, and then Dorm gets tagged, the Brawl mode is there, and it looks like a disaster when he uses his his stopwatch, but it doesn't matter, there's still enough damage. Lucid flashes over the ult, and aiming crucially does as well. Aiming stays alive throughout all of it, and if the Jinx doesn't die, you can't win the fight.
They need to get the Jinx, and if aiming has flash, and you don't have control of these objectives like T1 do not, there's not a lot of good ways to get his flash. Really, Karia's got to like snipe him with this Bard ult, otherwise
but
it's got to be Faker, but if he's got flash, you just flash him.
But this is still not enough, because they only get a dragon, like they win the fight, yes, but it's 3k gold at 31 minutes, not going to be the end of the world. The mid inhib, also not the best inhib that you can get, definitely the one lowest in value.
Yeah, I feel like they should just regroup and look at Baron again. I mean,
yeah,
the only
they would.
The only real issue is that aiming doesn't have his flash now. So, you know, obviously Faker can still try to shuffle and find an angle. Faker doesn't have his flash for the best angle, but
yeah, that's the precarious thing, because if Karia actually does get node onto aiming and he gets clipped, the setup afterwards is basically impossible to play around. Lucid now gets his GA, further solidifying that he is just looking to go in and isolate a single target, because all that DK needs is they just need to get aiming excited. Even if it's a situation where eventually they're able to take him down, if he can get enough orders of, this is a 4-0 Jinx, 4 items now, Lord Dom's IE, all there. It's Lucid just waiting, biding his time. T1, dare I say T1 Baron?
yeah, they're gonna start it. I mean, they've got a lot of damage with the Azir especially. They've got Jhin very safe positioning here. DPSing literally with his ult. Beryl is though here in the front line, and there goes the Jax, and And the spite is early from Owner. It's desperation for T1. Down goes the Jax. Will T1 get away? Oh, the charm hits Faker. The max range. Did they go too deep, though, is the question. There's the GA, though, for the Vi. I think it's enough here for DK. They get a couple of kills. They get an excited Jinx. And they want this game. They want this series right here, right now.
No one saw it but Atlas, but we are on the verge of a DK win.
Oh, Barrel. The engaged Braum.
The flash to Q.
Guma doesn't even flash or cleanse, but I don't think it matters. The memes aside, it looks like DK, they should be able to take it down. Guma can't clear the waves, especially not on Jhin. Keria, they take down the Vi, and that is all they will get as DPLUS KIA takes the 2-1 victory over T1 tonight. And they get another win here for Group